Inshallah, and benefit from his directions and instructions, inshallah. No, you need to project. He does not need to. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So we put the table over. Yeah, just table up. You can move the table. Okay. Yeah, that's.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. It's nice to be with you tonight. So, my name is Mustafa. I'm a heart surgeon. I will be talking about, in the next maybe 30 to 45 minutes, we'll be talking about our heart and how can we protect it the best way we can, and how can we make sure that we are free of heart attacks or any bad problems that we see around. So, when was the last time you thought about your heart? So many would, maybe we don't think about it most of the time. Our heart beats 100,000 times each day and pumps around 2,000 gallons of blood each and every day to our arteries. And if we stretch our arteries, the blood vessels, and add them end to end, we can circle the world 2.5 times. Think about that for a second. Our heart beats tirelessly, pumping blood to every corner of our body. And it does not take time off. It does not get a break from its responsibilities. It is always there for you, no matter how much stress you throw at it. And the question is, are we doing enough for it? Our heart is made of powerful muscle. It's a skeletal muscle, like the red muscle that we have in our body to move. But it acts spontaneously, autonomously, and by the grace of Allah, it acts like a smooth muscle, autonomously. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed 3 mechanisms in our heart to prevent it from stopping. First mechanism is the main mechanism, and it beats around 60 to 100 times in a minute. And then if it doesn't work, there's a second mechanism which beats around 40 to 60 times in a minute. And if it doesn't work, there's a third mechanism which beats around 40 times in a minute that still can keep you alive. So if the heart stops for a while, what's going to happen? So the most sensitive organ to blood is our brain. So if the heart stops for even 5 minutes, the brain starts to die. So that happens. That's why if the heart stops for someone outside the hospital, their chance of survival recovery is about 10%. So it's, and I know everyone is working hard. Everyone has a lot of things to do. We don't put too much attention in our heart, and we are like trying to push limits, maybe sleep less or have high stress. And these are all bad things for our heart. So I've been a heart surgeon for 20 years now. And throughout my career, I've seen the razor thin line between the best outcomes and the worst ones. So sometimes you talk to people one day before and the next day they are gone. So it happens. And there was a time when I was working in a hospital close to Turkey and Syria border. And most of our patients were coming from Syria. They were babies who had heart defects from birth. They were birth defects. And those babies did not have the luxury of time. And they were not as lucky as we are. And one day I remember a baby came in a very critical condition. His heart was weak. The chances of survival was low. So we were trying to do all we can to save that baby at that night. And then after a couple of hours, the baby's heart started to beat better. And then the next morning, the heart was beating like normal. So how can that happen? And when I saw that baby in parents' arms, waiting to be discharged, smiling as if nothing has happened, and I understood that moment how fragile but resilient our hearts truly are. And I promised myself to do all I can to help people protect their hearts. So how can we take care of our hearts? Let me explain first, what's a heart attack? Heart attack is actually the obstruction, the closing of the blood vessels going to the heart itself. Heart is pumping blood to everywhere, but heart also needs blood itself to have oxygen, to have nutrients, and to remove the waste products. That's what the blood does, like simple. And if the heart blood vessels going to the heart close, then the heart attack happens. But our heart is very forgiving. It does not give any symptoms until about 70% of those vessels are occluded. And one day, when one of the plaques tear and it gets occluded 100%, then people wake up with a heart attack. And the important thing is that 80% of sudden deaths, 80% of sudden deaths, like heart are stopping due to heart attacks, 80%. And 50% of people who had heart attacks are not aware that they have a heart problem before they die. So they basically die without knowing their heart problem. So it's important to take care of your heart before your heart reminds it to yourself. So what we do generally, we go to doctors we get a cholesterol test and sometimes say cholesterol is high, so pay attention. We just say that, stop eating meat, any fats, and walk like 30 minutes a day or something. But is the cholesterol real problem, or is it just a reporter or the problem, the tip of the iceberg? Is that a smoke, or is it the real fire? So actually, there is a lot going on below that cholesterol. So I'm going to tell you about that very basically, very simply, because there has been a study which has been done in California in 136,000 patients, and who came with a heart attack to the hospital. And they found that half of those patients who came with a heart attack to the hospital had normal cholesterol. Half of them. So, and it is still debated if the diet that we eat affects our cholesterol. It's debated. So there are actually 4 underlying mechanisms under that. 4 mechanisms. One of them is the metabolic syndrome. What is metabolic? Metabolic means our body's production of energy. So how we produce energy, how we make energy. We generally make energy from carbohydrates or fats. So if we eat like bread, it's carbohydrate. If we eat like egg, that's protein. Okay? So if we eat a lot of carbohydrates and constantly, we don't let our body use fats for energy, because the body wants to be easy, wants to go the easier way, and carbohydrates are the easiest way for the body to make energy. So body doesn't work. So imagine that a person who does not go to the gym, who just lies all day, how does the muscles go with that person? So possibly he'll not have good muscles, right? Because he's not training it. And that's the same as our body, because our body wants to go the easier. If we eat sugar, if we snack all day, if we eat carbohydrates like bread or sweet things all day, our body doesn't use fat. In fact, it stores fat. It stores fat. Because most of the fat people, when you see a fat person, or most of it does not come from fats. In fact, it comes from sugar, because sugar also increases insulin, and it opens the way to diabetes or storing the fat, and that leads to a heart attack. So first of all, what can I do to increase your metabolism? So you need to train your body, like going to the gym. Like, you need to keep fasting, like at least 12 to 16 hours. That's the night. That's a good thing. And if you can fast like 1 or 2 a week, that's good, like a regular fasting that we do. And that's the virtue of our religion, that we are fasting. That's a wonderful thing that Allah has made us do it. And if you can, in your normal life, if you can bring your meals closer to each other and eat like 2 meals in a day, and if you can fast between those times, if you can do that at least like 4 times a week, that would be good. Like when you say your eating window is like 7 hours and you fast like 17 hours in a day, that's very good. And if you can make it like 4 days in a week or 5 days in a week, that will be very good for your metabolism, or your metabolism will be flexible. So it can use carbohydrates and it can use fats. And if you are diagnosed with diabetes, if you have high blood glucose, please cut all the carbohydrates. because that's damaging. And eat proteins like egg, meat, and there are always protein alternatives to regular breakfast. But then that's important. The first is metabolic dysfunction, and all what I saw is diabetes, all insulin resistance, and the fats mostly come from this metabolic problem, metabolic dysfunction. First is this. Second is the oxidative stress. What's oxidative? Oxidative stress is the cellular damage by oxygen. So we consume generally processed foods. We use cell phones, there is an air pollution, other problems. So these are all damaging our cells. If you want to prevent cellular damage, we need to take antioxidants. Antioxidants. Have you heard about the antioxidants? Yes, antioxidants is important for health. Where can antioxidants be found? First is purple and red fruits, like red grape, blueberries and stuff, and beets as well. And these are important antioxidants, and especially vitamin C. If you can take those food on a regularly, it's okay if you can take a supplement. Vitamin C is very important. So people, when they're recovering from an illness, they take vitamin C. And that's helpful for their immune system. And second is the antioxidants, oxidation. Third is inflammation. Inflammation is a silent fight. Like when you think about this, there is a street, the traffic is going open, and once suddenly there's an intruder in one of the houses. So police came and police fights, so the street gets blocked, right? The police cars are there now, and the traffic doesn't flow as well. So this is the same as inflammation. Inflammation is a reaction within the body. If the body normally reacts to some bacteria, viruses, other problems, but if the body reacts to itself, it causes problems, like the narrowing in the arteries, and most sensitive arteries are in the heart. And so what can you do to prevent inflammation? The most important thing that I can recommend is omega-3 fatty acids. Have you heard about omega-3? It's one of the most heard supplements, but nevertheless, very few people use it. It's cheap, can be found, and it's omega-3 is very important for your heart. It can prevent inflammation, fighting within your body, and also it can act as a blood thinner. It's helping your blood to clot. It doesn't, okay? It's helping it with your blood to be thin. And if you can take it before you sleep, it improves your sleep too. You can sleep better. So omega-3 is important. So the fourth is, remember, first was metabolic dysfunction. Second was oxidative stress. Third is inflammation. And fourth is the endothelial dysfunction. What is endothelium? Endothelium is the inner layer of blood vessels. We have a long chain web of blood vessels. As mentioned, we can encircle the word 2.5 times. So if the inner layer, it is actually the biggest organ. It's considered an organ in the body because it has several characteristics. And if you lay it out flat, endothelium, you can cover 5 tennis courts of space. So it's that big. And so this inner layer of our blood vessels make nitric oxide. It's a molecule, and it improves circulation. It increases, it just widens up blood vessels, and the blood can flow easily. So what can you do to increase nitric oxide? First is exercise. So I don't mean here just go and walk half an hour and come back. It's not that. If you can just train yourself for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, it's going to be very good. For example, if you can jump or body weight squats or plank or lunges, it will be very good for your heart. Just 5 minutes, 7 minutes, but try to do it 2 times a day. If you can't do anything, just start with jumping and jumping jacks and body weight squats. These will also help and increase your nitric oxide. And the second is nitrate-rich foods, like beets are very important. If you can consume beets, especially on an empty stomach, it's going to increase nitric oxide and it's going to help open up your blood vessels and you're going to feel better. I've seen a friend who had actually sent me his results. He said, I started eating beets and now my heart rate is better. I can tolerate exercise more. And he says, send me the data. He has heart rates and stuff like that. So it's very helpful. And other food which is helpful increase nitric oxide is leafy greens, such as spinach, arugula, kale. And if you can mix that in the breakfast, if you can eat that in the breakfast, that would be wonderful. For example, beet and leafy greens. That's a wonderful combination. So the third is just breathing. Breathing increases nitric oxide. So if you take a deep breath through your nose and exhale slowly, it can also increase nitric oxide and opens up your blood vessels. So it's easy to actually just make small steps into a healthier life. So back to cholesterol. It is like a smoke, as mentioned. It is not the cause. It's not the fire. The fire is below that. We don't see the fire, but we see the cholesterol because we can measure in the blood. Okay? But there are better markers right now, which you can see it's better than cholesterol. But for example, we see sometimes people like 55 years old has worse blood vessels than the ones who are 80 years old. And he doesn't have a family history. So what happened? Possibly he has high stress, he's not careful what he's eating, or he's not metabolically healthy. And so we have a lot of things to do. We cannot just blame our family history. My family runs, no heart attacks runs in family, so it is gone now. Or you don't have to cut all the meat to decrease cholesterol. It's outdated. In fact, the fats, healthy fats, are healthy. For example, butter is healthy, and the fat with meat fat is healthy. But the unhealthy fats are actually, which seem to be healthy, like seed oils. They claim that it's healthy, right? But it's not. Because they are produced in factory, it's not natural. And their seed oils are refined oils. But I recommend all of you today stop eating seed oils and start eating natural or virgin oils, especially olive oil or avocado or coconut oil, but the cold pressed oils, which are natural, found in the natural state. Okay, the seed oils are produced in the factory, and especially recommend eating protein-rich breakfast. Protein-rich, which means mostly protein, no bread, and eggs. You can eat like yogurt, beets, salads, whatever, but no meat, sugar, and no sugary drinks in the morning, please. And if you can make your meals close to each other, it's going to be wonderful for your metabolic flexibility. And the key is that basically, when I want to just wrap up what I told, there are 4 horsemen. First is, as I mentioned, inflammation, oxidative stress, endothelial dysfunction, and metabolic dysfunction. So if you can manage these underlying factors, the cholesterol will not be an issue for us. And you'll feel that you're better in every aspect of your life. Because most problems are happening because of circulation. For example, diabetic people have kidney disease or retina disease, but their circulation, actually, the blood vessels are diseased. That's why they're having this. For example, the Alzheimer's disease. So the people, old people, but that's the problem with the circulation, because the blood vessels are not as good as it was before, and the oxygen is not enough for the brain, and then Alzheimer's tend to happen. So I recommend all of you to pay attention to those things, and wish you all the best. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi al-Fatiha.
Some question.
Okay, ask.
The heart disease. People say if you have such pain, that is symptoms of heart attack. Apart from that, I'm reading you have pain here. They're showing that it could be a heart attack.
Yes.
Or if you feel numbness in your finger, that too could be a symptom of heart attack. Is that right?
Yes, actually the heart, let me describe the heart pain versus normal pain. If someone comes to me and says, I have a pain, I can show it with my finger. It's here, I can show it. I understand that it's not a heart pain. Heart pain is generalized pain. It's like pressing on a place, like pressing. It can be in your left side, it can be in your back, and it can radiate through neck or left arm. But the important thing is, when you suspect something like that, it's better to go to a doctor and get tests, because most of the heart attacks are silent. They don't even feel pain. And the people who have pain are actually lucky, because the most common symptom of heart attack is what you know. You could say chest pain, or you could say another things, or sweating. But the most common symptom, the first symptom, is sudden death. Yeah. So it's better to pay attention if any pain, or ask, think about it. But heart pain is something that you cannot ignore. It's very severe. Even very severe painkillers can only relieve it. So thank you very much. And
your heartbeat is normal, and BP is normal, but still you feel pain.
that can be due to other reasons. Yeah.
Not because of heart.
Yeah, not because of heart.
There's a right of
Yeah.
internet. I read that.
Every chest pain is not heart. Go ahead.
Remind us, there's this simple test that you could administer to somebody who thinks they have a heart attack, or maybe has a heart attack. I don't remember the 3 things. Ask them to stick their tongue out, see what it looks like, how their eyes look like. Can you tell us what those 3 non-invasive signs that could help protect
Heart attacks?
us?
Heart attacks is signs are generally pain, and if there is no pain, even sweating is important. Sweating, like pain with sweat, because the heart does not pump enough blood, and the body sweats. Even you can see that from a person before the death, like sweating is an important sign of shock. It's called the shock state, which is the reduced amount of circulation. And sweating is important. If somebody is sweating, even with a small pain, I would definitely recommend going seeking help. And as mentioned, what's the best benefit of going to the hospital? It's not only getting tests and waiting in the waiting room. It's also, if something happens, so heart stops right away, there is more tools to help in the hospital than outside. That's important. What's that? Calcium is the last person in the scene. Like, there are calcium means the blood vessels, inside the blood vessels, there are plaques. Plaques begin to form. And calcium comes as a last, like, guest, I would say, and comes there and makes it calcified, makes it like a stone. It's hardened now. And it shows only hardened plaques. But the most dangerous plaques are soft plaques in the arteries. So the calcium scan doesn't show the soft plaques. So it doesn't give you the full picture. So the way that you can understand the full picture is only by angiography or cardiac cath. But it's not for everyone. So if someone doesn't have a heart attack or heart problem or severe pain, they don't take to a cath.
Notes that higher numbers in my LDL cholesterol. We probably need to do a calcium test.
Yeah, that's fine. If something is, if you have a plaque, calcified plaque, you're going to see it in the scan. But negative scan does not mean that everything is good. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I recommend it. If you have something serious, you can see. But negative means does not mean that you don't have to pay attention. Yeah, yeah. That's something that I wanted to mention also as well. Thank you for brother. The virgin olive oil is the best, not the refined one, because you want to avoid as seed oils. You want to avoid the seed oils, and as you want to avoid the what's that?
Some olive, they come olive refined oil with 50% extra virgin oil.
No, I recommend full extra virgin. Yeah.
Make sure you get like cream, like
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah, cold press. That's important. Extra virgin means cold press, by the way. Cold press is anything cold press is good.
We should definitely read the label.
Yeah, you need to read the label. Yeah.
It says extra virgin, but it is from Greece, Turkey, Spain, Venezuela. I mean, what kind of oil is that? It has to be from one source, Italy, 100%, Tunisia or something like that.
Yeah, agree. And agree. And sometimes when you read the what's written there, it can be misleading sometimes, and when it writes like olive oil, but if you read it carefully, it writes like 50% olive oil, 50% sunflower oil. It's like that. I mean, what's the benefit of that?
Two kinds of oil. what is called pomace oil. Pomace oil. You heard that?
What's the?
Pomace oil.
Huh.
When you press, cold press it, and you have got all molasses from it. And they retrieve the molasses.
Yes.
Then you get the oil. That's called pomace oil.
Any other questions? Okay.
4 years ago, I was in ER, so they did a CT scan on my heart. They say that I have a little plaque build up. Just start taking baby aspirin, so I've been doing that since then. So how do you prevent plaque?
So yeah, if you have a plaque, you need to be more careful than a 20-year-old person without a plaque. But still, you need to if you can. What I said is valid for you as well. So the same things for prevention. And the more the plaque actually doesn't hurt itself, and it does not give any symptoms up until 70% occlusion. So, and if you can just make sure that you have your, with the 4 things that if you pay attention to those, you can live with a plaque. It's fine.
I also take vitamin D with K2.
Yes, that's
That
good.
also helps with the plaque
Yeah, that's good.
over the counter.
I don't know that it helps, but it's good. So the 2 things that I recommend is, one is omega-3, vitamin C, and you can take vitamin D as well, because most people are deficient in vitamin D as well. What's
Too much eggs.
too much?
Eggs.
Too many
Eggs. Oh, I don't know any harm from that. I don't know. Go ahead.
Biryani.
What's that?
How do you
Wait, biryani. More vegetarian.
Yes.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then they were talking about plaque.
Actually, it's meat fat is good. Whatever you eat is good, but pay attention to those, and also fried foods I don't recommend.
Question for you mentioned omega-3 before sleep is good. How about other supplements before sleep or in the morning?
Omega-3?
I mean other supplements like vitamin C, vitamin D. When you the best?
You can take antioxidants, vitamin C in the morning, and omega-3 in the evening. Yes.
I think another thing for exercise, I think take a shower, cold water in the morning help to take a shower, cold shower.
It can help. Yeah. It can help with circulation. Yes.
Also take cold water if you're not married.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you very much for listening.
Because you cannot find it if you take too much protein. Too much protein on the stomach. But you can have